Hey everybody, Tal here, and today I feel like I just want to speak from my heart to yours. 2020 is coming to an end, and we're looking out towards 2021, and I think a lot of us are feeling a lot of uncertainty about what this year will bring. We don't know what's going to happen with the elections, how that's going to influence America, what's going to happen with the virus. The vaccines came out. Some people are very afraid of them. Some people are taking them. But then we hear that there are new mutations already out and about, and nobody's really sure if we're going to see the light, so to speak, and be coming out of this pandemic anytime soon. And as a Kabbalist, as someone who's been learning about the system of which we are part and where it is taking us, I have a few things that I want us to talk about to really understand what we can do right now to make sure that 2021 is going to be a good year, a year of progress, a year that is positive for humanity and not chaotic and something very, very terrible, which is also a possibility when you look at the timeline. So what's important for me to tell you, and it's very important for me to tell you because I know that this knowledge, these ideas are something that sages have accumulated throughout the years, and they try to put it out there. They try to teach people, and yet the ears have mostly been closed because it's a matter of evolution. It's a matter of development before we can really hear higher wisdom and understand the bigger truth about life. But these days, evolution, our human evolution is bringing us to a state where we can hear these things. We are able to be more aware of our own level of consciousness. We've been developing in a very automatic way, just living because we have to, doing everything society does because that's the way it is. But this time in our life, this pandemic is really shattering all of that, right? All of the things we thought were axioms were like, it's, of course, you need to go to work every day. You need to stand in traffic. You have to live your life. This is the way life is just because it is. And then this pandemic comes along and shatters all of that and shows us that the impossible can be possible, and things that we were hanging on to, even if they weren't working for us, even if it was stressing us out, even if our world was suffering from a anxiety, depression, loneliness epidemic on one side, and the other side we were completely ruining the planet and heading towards destruction. Even so, we were still in the same course, in the same track, unable to stop, unable to change. And now this pandemic has come along, and it's showing us that we can change, that we can stop, that we can recreate our life around different values, around different purposes and different goals, and completely change things around so that we can live in a more balanced way. So right now it's happening in the negative, right? It's still nature, you could say, or the world is still forcing us. We're still being forced to stop. We're still being put in lockdown. It's still happening in a very negative way. But the whole idea here is for us to wake up and start changing consciously, willingly, wanting to make change happen. And then it can happen smoothly. And then if we want to change, if we show the system that we get the message, we hear your message, we want to change, show us what you want us to do. And it's showing us. So if we start to open our ears to these messages and the messages that are coming from higher wisdom, which is available to us, then we can make this time work for us instead of pressure us more and more and more into succumbing, into finally putting our hands up and saying, okay, I give up. I'm willing to hear what I need to do to align with the system. So I know a lot of people think that what's going on right now is not just like some natural event, but something that's been pre-planned or that's in some way malevolently being done to humanity. But I want to remind you that there is a higher power, there is a system at work here, there is an evolution at work here, and human beings really are operated by this system. So whatever's happening, whatever forces we see outside of us that are doing certain things in our world, they are also operated from the system, from above. So whatever we do, the changes that we make, evolving our own consciousness, shifting our consciousness, that's going to change reality no matter what powers are out there, no matter what people have money and power over us. Our internal change can change everything. And maybe this is hard to explain, to understand. Maybe I should try and explain that even deeper. If you look at quantum physics, right? Science itself is telling you that this universe is not matter. It's not a material universe. It's energetic. And it's also telling you that you are the perceiver, and we're like reality creating machines, right? So the reality that we're perceiving right now is a reflection of our internality, of our own consciousness. And that is why when we shift our consciousness, when we change the way that we feel and we think and we perceive, we begin to actually perceive a different reality. We shift reality itself. And now in our course of evolution, where we are right now, this is the point where we're supposed to awaken, where we're supposed to make a transition into a place where we can already project that more connected reality. And why do I say it's more connected? Connection is the key here. Why is that? I often hear teachers talking about shifting consciousness and we can make the shift, we can change our reality. I hear that already, but the thing that is missing, the piece of the puzzle that is missing, is to understand that shifting our consciousness is not something we do in separation from one another. It's a process of connection. So what is this connection? What am I actually saying here? If we look at nature, right? Nature is like that system around us in its material form. And if you look at natural system, integral systems, you see that everything works in symbiosis, in harmony, in connection to the whole. Nothing is independent. It's all a system of interdependence. And the shift that we need to make right now is to emulate that, to become part of it, to realize that we as human beings are also part of this bigger system and that we need to consciously align with it. We feel that interdependence, we feel how connected we are to each other and to nature, and how everything that we do influences nature, and we get these ricochets right back with all of these natural disasters. Nature is showing us that we are out of balance with it. Except it's not just a matter of polluting less. Of course, that we've seen with this pandemic. We've seen how the moment humans stop, right? When they stopped the manufacturing, they stopped the pollution, everybody just was under lockdown, nature started to breathe again. Nature was reviving. So that's a big lesson for us. It's showing us that we as a humanity have a huge impact on the world and what happens in nature, and that nature is like our body, right? It's like our lungs is the forests and the blood, the rivers, and the mountains. That's our bones. Everything is one thing. It's our external body. We depend on this air. We depend on this soil. We depend on everything that nature is. And so we're called to become more aligned with it. And like I started to say before, it's not just stopping the pollution. It's something a lot more internal, because we human beings, what we are not aware of is that we influence nature and each other through the network of thought and emotion that connects us. If nature is like the body, then human beings, they need to become like the brain, like the consciousness. We are the consciousness. We need to align with higher consciousness and become that consciousness of the body. This is evolution. This evolution is not random. All of this reality evolved so that human beings would come into the world and then evolve from being apes, great apes, into beings that have higher consciousness. And that is where all of this pressure is pushing us. So then for us to awaken, we need to go beyond our animalistic existence as these physical bodies, hanging out together, and we think that we are together, but we're not, because we have not yet evolved the sensitivity to our interconnectedness, which is the way to achieve the higher consciousness. Because let's take the human body as an example. In the human body, you have different organs, different cells. Each of them has a completely different purpose, completely different perspective on life, if we can say that way, completely different attributes. And you see that with us too. Humans are completely different beings. And right now it's being shown to us to a great extent how we cannot agree on anything because we're so different. So in the human body, these different cells, these different organs are able to connect because there's a higher consciousness that is uniting them. Okay, my kids just came into the room. We can try and do this while they're here. So in the human body, our cells are able to connect because there's a higher consciousness that connects them. There's a higher purpose that aligns all of the different parts, even though they are opposites of each other, into one system. And so we human beings are at a point right now where everything that is going on, all the polarity, the divisions, the disharmony, the old world that is falling apart, it is calling for that higher consciousness to evolve within us so that this body of humanity will be able to function. Okay, my kids are back playing outside the room. Maybe it's no coincidence they came in because I think it's important for me as a mother and for all of us as parents to realize how important this is. Because if we don't make this shift consciously, if we don't do this together by talking about it, creating a discussion around it, creating a community around this transformation, then nature will pressure us. And we've seen in history that these pressures can be very, very terrible. And God forbid, we don't want that for ourselves, for our children, for our future. We want to create a better future for our children. And what I'm saying here is not radical, because think about the world that we are leaving behind. It was not a happy world. It was not a healthy world. It was a world where kids would go to school and there would be mass shootings, and in a world where people were starving on the streets, or the complete imbalance we were living in with third world countries, what was going on there, and the ultra rich and the people who were suffering from having too much and not having any meaning in life. All like the school system that has not been updated in 200 years and is still completely suitable for the industrial revolution, but not at all preparing our children for the needs of our interconnected world, not teaching them the tools, the ways to interact, to learn how to connect, to be able to have a discussion above our different opinions so that our societies would finally work. All of these things have been missing from our world, from our reality, from our educational systems. And so, they call it the Great Reset. And I know that has a very negative connotation, but I do believe that we need to take this time and use it. Us, the good people, the people who want the best things for our future, we need to take this time as an opportunity to truly reset our life, but to take control over it so that it really serves our highest needs, our deepest needs, and our evolution as a humanity. So I've really tried to tell you these things from my heart. I hope it made sense for you. I hope you could hear this. I hope this message was clear. So please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel so that we can continue talking about this and about more videos that come out. And please, let's be in touch. I really want to hear from you and know what you're thinking and you're feeling and how we can start to do this together. Because right now is the best time. We don't want to wait for any more pressure. We don't want to wait for things to get really, really bad. I think it's bad enough as it is. And we do have our free choice. And our free choice is to consciously evolve, to want to consciously make the changes that nature, the system, is forcing us into. It's like a birth, okay? If the baby smoothly goes down the birth canal and makes its own effort to first turn around, heads down, and then go down the birth canal, the birth will go smoothly. The birth will go easily. If that does not happen, births can be very, very hard for the baby and the mother. So we don't want that. We want to be that good baby that knows what to do. And that's what I'm here for, to help us all have that guidance, that information that I've received from my teachers, that I have found after very, very powerful suffering and pressures that I went through so that my ears would open. And I'm now offering you all that I've learned so that we can do this together, so that we can make this transition as smoothly and as pleasantly as possible. So this was a very important message for me. I hope you heard it and you want to continue on this better, more smooth, and more pleasant path together. Let me know. Waiting to hear from you. Bye for now.